right, well, it looks like we're up and running. You'll hear a little bit of an echo. I'm at a family gathering this evening, as I hope most of you are, and I'm sorry to disturb your festivities, your celebrations. But I just found out some information that I can't let go by, especially when it involves members of my own family and extended family. Hello, everyone, as you come in. I appreciate you being here, despite you're having to go through your Thanksgiving holiday. Okay, and again, I apologize for the little bit of an echo in here. This is a room that they haven't finished yet. They're still in the process of remodeling it. And you'll probably hear some kids playing in the background. We've got about 25 people here, but having a great time. I've had some real treats tonight. I've had a Hawaiian rum, 100 proof. I've had Basil Hayden's. If any of you know what that is, bourbon. It's only about 40%, but it's fairly expensive in comparison to what I usually get. Had a little bit of moonshine from Tennessee. How did I get that? I ain't telling. And we've had a little bit of Irish whiskey as well. Not to mention, yeah, I gotta have a little buzz, yeah. Not to mention all the turkey and the dressing, potatoes. I ate a lot of cucumbers to help me digest. At my age, you need a little help from the pepsin inside the cucumber skins, before you peel them off. So anyway, it's been great. And I had a little cheesecake and some homemade chocolate chip cookie pie. And I'm probably going to have some pumpkin pie before we're over with here. So I hope all of you are enjoying yourselves, especially with your family, friends, and loved ones. That's what this is about, despite what the establishment tells you are the parameters. Like I said, we have probably 25 to 30 people here, and we're not abiding by any of their rules, right? Why am I calling this the statistical probabilities of profit and war? I found out something tonight that really disturbed me, and of course I have to talk somewhat in code, so please bear with me and read between the lines. Monty taught me this, by the way. Not that I haven't done it before in my professional life, but it's just unfortunate that we have to do that here, but we do. I might have some apple pie later too, as a matter of fact, okay? I hope you all are having some great food as well. So what am I talking about with this upload on this very special day? Probably my favorite holiday of the whole year is Thanksgiving, okay? Because of what it means, despite all of the woke and CRT crowd saying otherwise. What this really is a founding of a land and a form of government that provided for the security of the rights and God-given rights of the individual and guaranteed by the government. Of course, that's been taken away under all sorts of excuses. But I did a little investigation today when I found out some information. Without giving out too much on the individual, I found out that one of my family members today was forced either to get the jabs, the GMIs, or to lose their job. They have a lot of children. And as I was talking to them, they said, I know what the dangers are of this, but I have to take care of my family. What am I looking at? What am I looking at here in the near future? And there are a lot of things that I explained to her about what she's facing at this point. And she's had 2 of those, and they're trying to get her to have the additional ones. She's resisting that, but they'll probably win. Now, is it her employer that's doing that? Not directly. What they're doing is they're doing it through the insurance companies. You can't keep your insurance unless you do this. Now, this is in Utah, where they've already had a fight with the federal government over mandates. but this is through the insurance company, through her work. I explained the situation with being able to spread this to other members of the family and friends and things like that, which even though I've talked about before, she hadn't really been aware of or not cognizant of the way she needed to be. But this is the deal, ladies and gentlemen. Why are the insurance companies requiring this? And you're going to have to read between the lines, because this will probably get taken down. If it doesn't, it's because I was successful enough in using code words. So again, pay real close attention and read between the lines. If you get sick, especially as you get older, but if you get sick with heart trouble, diabetes, kidney problems, cancer, I can speak from experience. My wife died, Carol died of ovarian cancer, and her medical bills were well over $3 million. Okay? And the insurance company paid a good portion of that until we got to the cap. And then the rest was up to us, which really tore us up, okay? But figure that the insurance companies were going to be out $2 million. Now let's say that you take a risk, and if you get the extant so-called sickness today, and you go into the hospital with the sickness, you're looking at a fraction of that cost that the insurance companies might have to pay out. And if you don't have the treatment, the GMI, they won't pay any of that. On the other hand, if you get the GMI and you still get sick, and you go into the hospital and they put you on the other medications that Dr. Fauci said are the standard of care, and if you get the respiratory assistance with the machines that Trump gave tons of money to make, and of course tons of money for the GMIs, the healthcare system's not out anymore. They get paid by the government. In other words, you get sick with cancer, heart, whatever, get an amputated leg because of an accident or whatever, and you're into the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the insurance company will have to pay out. But if you don't abide by their rules and you don't have the GMI, they don't pay anything. And if you have a problem after you get the GMI and you get sick, they're really not, the insurance companies aren't out anything, because the government pays for all of the treatments, not the insurance companies. You see where I'm going here? Hi, Liza Jean. So what do I mean by the statistical probabilities of war and profit? Ladies and gentlemen, we're not just getting robbed. We're getting mauled. We're getting maimed. And we're getting killed with our own money that we pay into the tax system. The insurance companies are out nothing. The banks are out nothing. The government pays, what is it, $56,000 if you end up on a breathing machine, and that if you're first diagnosed with this, whether it's true or not. So what they did to my family member, insurance company said, if you don't get this, we won't insure you anymore, and you won't have a job because the company, won't be able to pay your insurance. You'll have to go somewhere else if you can find something. It's extortion by the government and by insurance corporations and the banks. Do you see what I'm talking about here? It's a racket that our illustrious Trump went along with. And he's not, I hear these people making excuses for him that he didn't know, but he has to know now. If the rest of us know, there's no reason for him not to, and yet he still pushes it. Can he do anything about it at this point? Well, he'll say no because, Biden's in control, right? Not to mention all the other leaders all around the world. Revelation wasn't kidding when it said that the rich and powerful men of the earth will deceive the nations with their pharmakia for profit, gain, and they will commit murders and thievery and not repent. They can't lose in this deal they've made with the governments. They get paid instead of paying out. It's worse than you thought. I hope I'm making sense. As I just explained, I've had quite a bit to drink tonight, this afternoon. But when I looked at the mathematics, the statistics, the accounting of this, and I knew it before, but then it dawned on me that this really is a governmental backup for the insurance companies and the banks. Remember, I told you the story back in the 60s and 70s. In my classes, several times we were given little exercises where there were 5 of us in a boat, but we only had enough water and food for 3 people. Who do we throw overboard? They were getting us ready for this, right? You see it in the 60s and 70s, getting us in the mindset. And now here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, you're nothing to them but a commodity to be traded, and when you're not worth anything anymore, to be eliminated. And they win profit-wise no matter what, because they don't treat you unless you have the GMI, even if you have cancer, heart, whatever, right? And they don't want to treat you for that because then they're out of the money. And they're even out of the money if you get the disease, the current medical problem, if you don't get the GMI. That's how they're setting it up. But if you get the GMI and you suffer from that, they get paid for it, not a dime out of their treasuries, out of their bank accounts. It's insidious. It's demonic. And if they take me down for this, I've delivered enough messages that you should know by now where this really is. Yeah, that's all possible, John Curtis. The GMI can give it to the un-GMI'd. Certain portions of it, unless you keep your immune system strong, okay? That's where you need your nutrition, I'll just put it that way to avoid saying anything that will alert the algorithm-isms. I hope you all were able to listen to the priest that's in the video before this one, where I refer to my Gab account. He's got it right down the line to the jot and tittle about what's going on. I'll probably lose this family member and more if they fall for this over the next few months. It's mass murder, ladies and gentlemen. It's worse than Holodomor. It's genocide, humanicide. It's premeditated murder for gain, which is exactly what Cain did when he killed Abel. He killed Abel for gain. I just thought I'd report on that for you. I'm very upset. And I know I'm going to see more of this as people feel trapped, wanted to take care of their families as opposed to their own welfare, and they don't really understand all of the details. But what it really comes down to, as I've just explained, is that they either pay out, the insurance companies through the banks own the insurance companies, they either pay out for the sicknesses and the social net systems like Social Security, they pay it out, or they make it so that you aren't in a situation where you need to have those payments to you anymore. Read between the lines. And if you don't abide by their rules on this thing, on the GMI, they don't pay the bills. And if you get the GMI and you get sick from it, they don't pay the bills either. The government does, as we already know. Trump set it up so they get, what is it, $15,000 for a diagnosis and $50,000 if you get put on a breathing machine, and how much more if you get put on Dr. Fauci's drug standard of care. He's a war criminal. He's not just a mad scientist. He and Gates aren't just mad scientists. They're criminals. Mastermind criminals. And no government agency is going to hold them to account. You are going to have to do that one way or another. Hopefully we have some competent state authorities stand up against this. The United States is in the best position right now. We have a few that are, not enough, and not enough in the way they're doing it, but at least the possibility is here. In other nations, in the Five Eyes countries, etc., the Western democracies, so-called, they've all sold their souls. The stand is here, and the defeat is here. It's our choice. Thought I'd report that to you tonight. Never any good news, not even on a Thanksgiving holiday. But the statistics of this are just so obvious. And maybe a lot of you have thought about that. I have before, but I saw it hit home tonight. Take stock of where you are and be prepared to stand your ground. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, situational awareness on high. They're unleashing mobs of murderers as well. The FBI is coming after you if you don't agree with the political persuasions of the day. They're saying that that's criminal conduct or even terrorism. A mother standing up to a school board telling them that they're wrong to teach their kids about whatever sex they're talking about, which is normally the degraded type. That's a word. Or if you object to being forced to stay in your home, whatever the situation is, you're now considered a terrorist. And I told you that I knew that these definitions of terrorism would be unjustly expanded when I went to the Army Terrorism Counteraction course in the 80s and I saw what they were doing with the definitions. There were a dozen then, not just the FBI, Justice Department statutory explanation of what terrorism is, but definitions that they use. And there were a dozen then there were scores, and now there are hundreds, including mothers complaining about the way their children are treated at school. That's all I got for you. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Come out of Babylon as best you can. As the priest explains, there's more than one reason to do that at this point. And may God damn all of those who are taking part in forcing this demonic system onto the people. May they burn in the lake of fire and brimstone. May their eyes consume in their heads, and their mouths consume, and their tongues consume in their mouths. And may they fall into the pit that they have dug for us. and cry unto heaven for deliverance and not receive it. God damn you in the demonic realms that have come here to do this to God's children. Take care, everybody.